Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, distinguished guests, and folks of all stripes, put your hands together for the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. Houston, we have Paul Salazar Jr.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Space Cadet Sports Podcast, your Houston sports podcast for diehard Houston sports fans from a diehard Houston sports fan. I'm Paul Salazar Jr., your favorite diehard Astros fan podcaster. I'm an actor, movie nerd, self-appointed cookie philosopher, and creative multi-hyphenate. Of course, I'm a Houston native and I have the receipts to prove it. I remember Houston Mayor Anise Parker. I've spent the last decade or so as a comedy writer in L.A., and now I'm in podcasting. That's what happens once you hit 10 years out here. You just start to accept LAX as an acceptable experience, and the mayor gives you a podcast. Welcome to said podcast. This is what my brother calls the Paul Broadpod Ball Blog. Hey, brother, check out spacecadetsports.substack.com for the full blog experience. Definitely have not been writing on the blog as much as I used to. I've been pretty busy, but I'm going to start doing more articles there. You could check that out all there, as well as a whole backlog of podcasts and other memes and fun things like that. I started Space Cadet Sports as a passion project because most media is infuriating as a die-hard long-term fan of the Houston Astros and other Houston-based teams. So here we try not to be doom and gloom fans or worse, national media haters or avoiders. We try to talk about our team and root them on, but also want to discuss the ins and outs of our team without too much homerism. Keyword is that we try here. We try to be reasonable, not too hot takey or reactionary. And we love talking all Houston sports here. We are recording this transmission here in sunny Los Angeles, where I'm joined as always by my co-host and co-producer. She is burying her face in a pillow as we speak. The Raws to my Frasier. Carla the dog is here with me today. She may get on mic from time to time. Long-term listeners of the podcast know that she's got the hot takes on this podcast. On this episode of the pod, we have Paul's Picks back again. Just much like tag team, so we definitely are going to get into the NFL picks the way we do it. You've heard of Jimmy the Greek. I'm Paulie the Geek. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick, what team I think is going to win, as if it's just kind of like a pick'em pool, if you will. We're going to pick the winners here. We're going to do that by kind of looking at the spread, looking at the over-under there, kind of checking the lines there, and just seeing how I feel, going from the gut. Kind of just talking through the NFL here on the podcast. I like to say that if you are using my picks as your primary form of gambling, do recognize that this is a comedy podcast first and foremost. We're also going to talk about some Astros news. That's right, this Astros podcast feed is actually going to feature some Astros news for once in quite some time. We're also going to talk about your Houston Rockets, and we're going to visit Dynamo Corner as we always do. At least for one more time this season, we're going to visit Dynamo Corner. So buckle in, folks. We have a nice podcast for you today. Really quickly, we are talking baseball today, so I want to say g'day, mates, to my listeners in Australia. Long-term listeners of the podcast know my struggle to top the Australian sports charts. So share this with Australian listeners, But let's go ahead and start off today with some baseball. Baseball is the thing I like to talk about the most. It's the sport I know about the most. I definitely, can speak on that the longest. So we're going to go ahead and start off with some Astros talk. Then we're going to go ahead and move on to our NFL picks, and then get to some Rockets and some Dynamo towards the end of the podcast. But the biggest thing here, obviously, we have some big news. One of the biggest one is that Alex Bregman did win the Gold Glove award for the AL third baseman. We did expect that. Once he became a finalist, we saw who he was up against. It felt like it was his to win, and it would make sense that the league would give him an award to help improve his chances to leave the Astros. But I'm not going to get too negative here. I'm in a negative state of mood, that's for sure. I'm kind of in a negative mindset. But that doesn't mean we don't do the things we normally do. That doesn't mean we don't do the podcast. That doesn't mean you don't drink your coffee and you wake up to kick the day's butt and just keep moving forward, So that's what we're doing today is we're moving forward. We're kicking the day's butt and we're getting ready to prepare for everything that this day and my future plans have in store for me. So we're happy here to talk about baseball, even if I'm in that negative mindset. So we won't try to get too negative about the Alex Bregman contract and the ramifications of him getting more hardware before that contract signing. Speaking of hardware, the Silver Slugger finalists have been announced, and we do have 4 Astros in the final running for Silver Slugger. You have Jose Altuve at second base. You have Yainer Diaz as catcher, Alex Bregman at third, and of course, Jordan as a DH in the final runnings for Silver Slugger. I would not be shocked if even all 4 of them get there. But we will see. There are a lot of strong candidates for Silver Slugger. But yeah, like I said, it would make sense that Bregman just kind of gets more hardware to increase the size of that potential contract here. I did read, I did not find, I didn't do enough digging where I could say this is an official source. I always like to say I'm a fan, not a journalist first and foremost. That doesn't mean I should be saying things recklessly on the podcast, but I'm just trying to say, I do not want anything I'm saying is not breaking news, So this is something I read on the internet. It's something that I couldn't find too many credible sources for, or I didn't do enough digging to really feel solid about saying it. But something that I'm hearing, the rumor, the way you would report that, the way you say that shorter, Paul, is rumor. The rumor is. I guess it just worries me because you could say rumors, and sometimes now, people nowadays take rumor for fact or opinion for fact, So I'm just trying to be cautious. But the rumor is that that Alex Bregman, the longest contract the Astros will offer Bregman would be a 6-year contract. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if that's going to be towards the longest contract he might get offered. But we will see. We are very much hopeful that Jim Crane will sign Bregman to stay with the Astros. It might be a little bit harder to say for life like Altuve, but at least to get him signed through this next phase of his career. But if he's winning awards, that could be a little bit tougher. But we're excited about Bregman. We're happy he won the Gold Glove. We're happy he's potentially going to win that Silver Slugger. We are just worried about that contract. The Astros did offer him a qualifying offer. This is just kind of a business move. If you offer him, so essentially the qualifying offer is offering a free agent that may leave your team a qualifying offer of the average value of the top 125 players in Major League Baseball. So this season, that the average value contract for the top 125 is a shade over $21 million per season. So the Astros and a lot of teams had to decide if they are going to offer a qualifying offer to this upcoming free agent. And of course, for the Astros, this was an easy decision. Alex Bregman for $21 million a year is an easy decision. They make him that offer, and what that ensures the team financially, essentially, is that if they lose him, they do get a compensatory compensatory draft pick. And where that lands depends on your kind of tax bracket as a team, if you will. If you pay a lot into the competitive tax credits, you will get a lower draft pick, and if you are kind of a poorer team, you get a higher draft pick. That's kind of how it works to maintain fairness here. That's how believe it or not, there is such a thing as fairness, and it does have to do with the tax bracket there. So, that's kind of how it works out. It's a business decision when teams make this. Like I said, for the Astros, it was a very easy choice. This is not a breaking down the CBA of Major League Baseball podcast, so I don't need to go that much longer into it, but that's essentially what the Astros did, is trying to make sure they get a draft pick if they lose Bregman by offering him this qualifying offer. Also in the Astros news, we're looking kind of at the roster here. They've made a lot of big roster moves to kind of shuffle around the 40-man roster, and the biggest thing here, the thing that kind of hurts the most, maybe even partially why I'm so frustrated. There's a lot of reasons why I'm frustrated, folks. It's just who I am. I can be a very frustrated person, and that's why on the podcast I try to be such a positive person. I think it's important to be positive, to not just give in to frustration all the time. So I think it's funny. A lot of whenever I am frustrated, people are like, "Oh no," Paul's usually so happy and positive. Yeah, I'm trying to be positive because that's who I feel like I should be. I shouldn't be giving in to frustration. But, part of the frustration is about my man, Houston Astros pitcher, or former Houston Astros pitcher, I should say. I should get used to saying, Jose Urquidy, who, was just, part of a business decision, was waiving him. He was outrighted. It hurts because Jose Urquidy was one of the Mexican representatives on the team, but also a World Series hero. Jose Urquidy was a guy that just kind of had some injury issues as of late. He was going to have injury issues. So, from a business standpoint, he was not going to factor into the team very much in the next season. And as he's going to be rehabbing from surgery and injury, so it's a tough business decision for the Houston Astros. And as they did not have a deep playoff run, as they are looking to spend a good amount of money this offseason, if they end up signing Bregman, if they're able to address some free agency concerns, this might be a heavy spending offseason. They're looking at the books and they're trying to make sound financial decisions. And sometimes when you do that, it means heartbreaking personal decisions, or I'm not trying to say personnel decisions, but that's kind of can be construed that way. But I mean the kind of like just something that a guy like Jose Urquidy means a lot to the team, means a lot to our hearts. He's near and dear to our hearts. So it's sad to see him go. But from a business standpoint, you understand why they kind of cut ties there. It just sucks when you have to see players you like go on a team. It is part of baseball. It happens all the time. But we just here at the podcast, at least, say Godspeed, Jose Urquidy. We wish you were able to stay. We wish you were able to stay healthy. We wish you were able to stay with the team. But we hope you find a place to pitch when you are healthy. And maybe the Astros could re-sign him when he is back to baseball, if this decision was dealt with grace instead of just some kind of unceremonious cut. I'm sure the Astros have a history with Urquidy. I'm sure it was even if it wasn't the easiest conversation, I'm sure there was a conversation had about it. But besides Jose Urquidy leaving the team, there are some other key players that are gone. Oliver Ortega, who was a pitcher for the Astros that never got to see the field for them this season was let go, as well as Penn Murphy. Penn Murphy, there was some time there towards the end of the season where we thought Penn Murphy might be able to see some time with the Astros and out of the bullpen, but unfortunately he was not healthy enough towards the end of the season. Penn Murphy was picked up by the Chicago White Sox. Also, Trey Cabbage, outfielder Trey Cabbage, he was let go. He was cut from the roster, and he was picked up by the Pittsburgh Pirates. So the Cabbage Man will, potentially see some time with Pittsburgh. And another pitcher that I would have liked to see stay on the team, but I completely understand why he was let go, was Seth Martinez. The Magic Man, Seth Martinez, was picked up by the Arizona Diamondbacks. So yeah, like I said, it's kind of the same thing. I kind of just he had this ability to pitch with men on the bases and get out of situations. Generally, he didn't seem to struggle in big situations. He had a nice run with the Astros, but didn't really seem to have ever really have stability with his roster spot, even when he was pitching good. So maybe he can find a place for him, carve out more of a position for himself in Arizona. With that being said, that's going to kind of I think that kind of wraps up our Astros talk for the day. I'm kind of looking at my notes. I know there's kind of a lot I really could talk about or speculate about, but today is not just an Astros podcast. There is so much to talk about that I want to keep the ball rolling. So just kind of maybe because he was a New York Yankee and a Seattle Mariner, I forgot this. But the Astros did get an addition. While we are talking sadness, all these players that are leaving the team, there is an addition to the team with outfielder Taylor Trammell that the Astros traded for cash from the New York Yankees. Taylor Trammell is a left-handed outfielder. He mostly finds time in the corner outfield. So essentially, another kind of on the fringe, not kind of finding his footing in the Major League Baseball outfield prospect. Seeing that Jason Hayward, we're losing right now. We're not talking today specifically about the free agents we've lost, like Yusei Kikuchi, Justin Verlander, Jason Hayward. There are some people that are now unsigned on the roster. So getting Taylor Trammell into a corner outfield spot as a lefty is kind of looking that kind of as a see what we can do, see if we can improve his strikeout rate kind of a player. So we'll see what Taylor Trammell has to offer the team. But I think it's kind of like a not trying to be dismissive of it. I'm glad we have somebody on the on the books, somebody that's younger, a lefty. It's kind of a lateral move like Trey Cabbage. I kind of see him kind of in that same light. But, I could be completely wrong about him. I haven't completely watched all the tape on him or anything like that. That is just my initial reaction. And like I said, I'm more of a fan than I am an expert at times. So, I do want to scout him a little more, watch some tape on him and see how I feel about him. But right now, that kind of is the my early feelings, my early thoughts. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and move on to the NFL. We're going to look at Paul's picks here. It's about time we get to the main course, the main entree of this podcast. Let's look at Paul's picks. We'll look at the NFL. We start off by looking back. So it is week 10. We're going to look back at week 9 to see how I did with my picks. And week 9 was a pretty solid week for me. I was 12-3, but that still was not good enough to be the best. To be number 1 in my sleeper league. So dang, I still got to do better. While I have been improving this season, I do have to get better and step up here. So 12-3, let's look back at my losses. Obviously, I lost the first one out the gate. Houston lost to the New York Jets. This is partially why I've been frustrated this week, why I'm frustrated today. This was not a game I wanted this team to lose. It was not good. 13-21. to the New York Jets. Not only was it a game that we lost, but it was a game that just kind of felt like it got out of hand. You didn't like to see it. The Jets have not been that formidable looking, and to see Houston lose this one was a very bad look. Left a very bad taste in my mouth. It just didn't feel right, and the offense looked really bad. The offensive line looked really bad. Obviously, on top of the offensive line looking bad, then there was an offensive line injury, which is tough. The Houston Texans claimed a tackle from the New England Patriots off of waivers to help fill some kind of roster depth. But yeah, I am nervous about this team. The offensive line has not looked great this season. Now with more offensive line struggles, with wide receiver injuries, and now with offensive line injuries, I really am concerned about this Houston Texans passing game. Somehow the running game still looks fairly good with Joe Mixon as a running back, but there were times I was watching the Jets Texans game with Sarah, and Sarah's little comment was like, they just look so good when they're running it, but they look so bad when they're in pass protection. They look like it's a separate team. And I think she's kind of right there. So it's tough. We'll see how these Texans do going forward, but this next week might be tough for us as Texans fans. We'll get to it later. The next game I got wrong was the New Orleans Saints lost to the Carolina Panthers 22-23. I just got it wrong. I don't know what to say. They lost by 1 point. I just got it wrong, but so did everyone else. I think this was a game that not too many people would have forecasted, and even as it was close, the final minutes of the game, we were still like, maybe this isn't going to be how it ends. The Saints could pull it out. We just got it wrong, folks. And then another game I just got wrong, and I hope you're proud of yourselves, New England Patriots. The New England Patriots lost to the Tennessee Titans 17-20. I really hope you're proud of yourselves on this, New England. You ruined Carla's dog of the week this week. She believed in you, she picked you, and you let Tennessee win this one? Just absolutely disgusting. It was a game that I believe this one went into overtime. Tennessee winning this one in overtime. I thought it was a fairly good underdog pick of the week that just didn't break right for me or for Carla. Pretty bummed about that too. The pick of the week was Baltimore, which takes an easy win. I'm not going to pat myself on the back too long for that. That just was an easy W, and I picked it up. Let's go ahead and move on to NFL Week 10 and make those picks here, folks. Thursday night, later tonight, in just a couple hours for some of you. Some of you, the game's already started or it already happened. Thursday night football is Cincinnati at Baltimore. Baltimore at home. Heavy favorites by almost a touchdown here. They are minus 6.5 with an over-under of 52.5. I believe that makes that the highest over-under of the week. We are looking for some offensive fireworks here on Thursday night to kick this week off. Last week was a bit of a tough one to watch on Thursday night football, at least for me as a Texan fan. I think this one will be a little bit more fun. They're heavy favorites. I don't trust whenever I feel this confident about a Cincinnati game one way or the other, but I am picking Baltimore here. I think they end up winning it. I don't. Their pass offense can be tough at times, so this might be, as Vegas is saying here, this might be an offensively charged game, but I really think that things break Baltimore's way more than it breaks Cincinnati's way, and Baltimore wins by a couple scores. Because I feel that way, I'm nervous. Moving on to Sunday, we have a game in Germany. The New York Giants and the Carolina Panthers travel to Germany, I guess because they just couldn't figure out a way to send the Jacksonville Jaguars there. For whatever reasons, you're like, it's an overseas game. The Jacksonville Jaguars have been in Germany for 2 weeks. That's the future we're looking at. But The Carolina Panthers are technically the home team here in Germany. They are home dogs, plus 6.5. The over-under is 40.5. Carolina is coming off of an upset win against the New Orleans Saints. The Giants are not a very good team. I feel like this is a stay-away game. They're going to Germany. Weird travel involved. Both of these teams are complete weirdos. I feel like I'm going to pick the Giants to win, just because you got to pick somebody. So I'm gonna pick the Giants to win. I don't feel good about it. I feel like this is I don't even know to call it a trap game for the Giants. It doesn't quite sound right, but I think this is gonna be a weird one. We're gonna wake up to a weird score or something. I don't know. I feel like I'm staying away completely, but seeing that I have to pick one, I'm going with the Giants. Next game is the New England Patriots at Chicago. Chicago. Is that right? Chicago's home dogs 6.5. Yeah, the over under is 38.5. I feel like I have to. I'm gonna look it up right now. I feel like there's no way that's right. NFL lines. I'm like, did I get that right? Did I type that wrong? I have to, in this moment live, look that up, folks. I apologize. I feel like I got that line wrong. Yeah, I totally did. Okay, the Chicago Bears are favored in this game. Minus 6.5. I was like, there's no way. I'm glad I looked that up, because my mind was melting, and I was like, maybe I don't understand football whatsoever. But Chicago Bears are favored in this game. Minus 6.5. The over under is 38.5. I'm definitely going with Chicago here. I especially after losing to the Tennessee Titans, I have no faith in the New England Patriots. The Chicago Bears, are a team on the rise. I feel like even though this is going to be a tough one, maybe a low scoring game, maybe not the most fun game to watch, Chicago figures out a way to win. Then we have Buffalo at Indianapolis. Indianapolis are home dogs. They're +4 at home. 47.5 is the over under for this game. We're just gonna pick Buffalo and move on. The Colts are kind of a mess. Buffalo is a great team. It's that simple. The Colts being +4 at home. That's I thought it would be bigger, honestly, but it's like maybe they're better than I thought. But yeah, I'm picking Buffalo and moving on. Then we have Minnesota at Jacksonville. Jacksonville is another AFC South home dog. +7 here. That line makes sense to me. 44 is the over under. I'm definitely picking Minnesota to win here. I think Jacksonville just continues to be lowly, even at home. Minnesota is formidable. Denver at Kansas City is our next game. Kansas City is favored at home heavily, minus 7.5 at home. 41.5 is the over-under. I mean, you just have to pick Kansas City here. I think we're all nervous about Kansas City, just generally speaking. So that's a pretty big spread, but just picking the winner, you have to go with Kansas City here. Next game is going to be Atlanta at New Orleans. New Orleans is, the underdog at home, +3.5. The over-under is 46.5 here. I've been high on Atlanta almost all season. I've been high on New Orleans at the beginning of the season, and then I completely lost faith in them. I'm picking Atlanta here. I think this is going to, to be an easy pick for me, easy pick for a lot of people. Even though they're at home, New Orleans just is not the team that we thought they could be, and Atlanta seems to be like kind of right in the middle of the pack. They are NFC South favorites for sure. We have San Francisco at Tampa Bay for our next game. Tampa Bay is another home dog here, +6. we have them +6. The over under is 50.5. I definitely am feeling strong about San Francisco more nowadays. I Tampa Bay has been a tough game. Has been a tough team to bet against, that's for sure. But I think San Francisco ends up winning this one. And then we have Pittsburgh at Washington. Washington is favored at home, -2.5. I feel like I'm once again I'm like I know I wrote that down right, but just making sure. Yeah, Washington Commanders favored at home, -2.5. The over under is 45. This is one where I wanted to check the line here because I wanted to make sure I'm picking the underdog because yeah, I feel Pittsburgh in this game. I feel like it might be a little bit. It might be a bit of a close one, a bit of a squeaker here, but I'm going with Pittsburgh to win this game. So that line of -2.5, I do feel like it's going to be a really close one. But if I am picking the underdog, I am going with Pittsburgh. Next game is going to be Tennessee, or not if I'm picking the underdog. I'm picking the underdog here. I'm going with Pittsburgh is what I'm trying to say. Tennessee at Los Angeles Chargers is our next game. The LA Chargers are heavily favored at home, -7.5. 39 is your over-under. I don't feel good about Tennessee, even coming off of their win. I feel like the Chargers are going to put the clamps on them. They're going to clamp down on that offense. It's going to be a low-scoring game, but an easy one for the Chargers. Maybe this will be a 7-0 game. Maybe that over/under you just you just bet the under. I really don't know if it's going to be that low. I'm being silly, but I don't expect this one to be a lot of fun to watch. The New York Jets are going to be playing the Arizona Cardinals at home. The Cardinals are the slight underdogs at home, +1.5. Over/under is 46.5. After that game against the Texans, the Jets are kind of got a little power behind them. I still, despite that game, despite all of that, I think this is a feisty Arizona Cardinals game at home. I'm gonna pick the Cards here as the underdogs. I think I don't trust that Jets team. I think they caught Houston in a bad time with 0 receivers, bad offensive line, and 0 plan as to what to do about it. So I think the Cardinals offense is going to be a little bit stronger here and kind of figure out a way to win this game against the lowly New York Jets. Then we have Philadelphia at Dallas. Dallas is home. The home dogs here +7. The over/under is 43. I don't like it, but I'm picking Philly here. I don't know. I just don't anticipate. I don't see how Dallas could win this one, but I also can see a million ways how Philly could lose it, if that makes sense. But we're gonna go ahead and pick Philly because we do have to pick a team. I'm a little nervous about that. Then we have Sunday Night Football. Speaking of me being nervous, Detroit at Houston. Houston is the home dogs here +3.5. The over/under is 48.5. And folks, I love my Texans. I love that it's going to be another primetime game because I haven't gotten a lot of that. But man, these primetime games are really hidden at a spot where we are not completely healthy and we're not really looking too good. And I'm worried we're going to look this offense might be pretty tough looking here in this game. I'm worried about it. I'm hoping that the Texans offense, the offensive coordinators have found a way to kind of figure out a way for this offense to gel. Something that I was saying last week and that I probably will continue to say, is like something that we did see effective and something that I did like is some Tank Dell plays. Let's kind of get the ball out of CJ Stroud's hand quickly on passing plays. He does not have a lot of time in that pocket. It is constantly deteriorating. So let's get some quick little plays to get the ball out of his hand, give it to Tank Dell in space, give it to Hutchinson in space, give it to Dalton Schultz on a quick little play. Let's just kind of just get these little quick plays going, to get some momentum going. Maybe every once in a while we could try a medium to long pass, but let's just kind of really slowly matriculate the ball down the field with that pass, and continue to lean on the running game. At least until Nico Collins is back. This might be the way going forward. I'm hopeful that the Houston Texans offense will find a way to be productive in this game, but I'm not betting on it. We are picking the Detroit Lions to win this game, and moving on to Monday night. Monday night we have Miami at the LA Rams. The LA Rams have the this respectful home line of -1. The over/under is 50 here. So this one could be a little bit of a close one. Miami's almost favored, you would say, in this game. I don't know. I don't know why I'm so hesitant to still pick Miami. I feel like this is kind of a stay away for me, but seeing that I have to pick one, I'm going to go ahead and pick the LA Rams. So for Paul's pick of the week here, folks, it's kind of a tough one. Honestly, I think the easiest answer for me, and the answer that I'm going to go with, and a team that I don't think I've said all season long for Paul's pick of the week, but we're going to go with the LA Chargers. We're going to go with the LA Chargers to beat the Tennessee Titans at home. That's going to be Paul's pick of the week. Maybe I'm just bitter at the Tennessee Titans for ruining Carla's dog of the week last week. But we're picking the LA Chargers and moving ahead. Next, we have Carla's dog of the week. We have a couple candidates, so as always, Carla gets to pick between them. We have these two candidates here. Carla, who would you like? All right, Carla is going with Arizona as Carla's dog of the week. You'd love to see it. Good job, Carla. She's got Arizona as Carla's dog of the week. Perfect. So as we're looking here, let's kind of look back to see how I've been doing this season. This season, I am 91-61 on the season, folks. That's pretty good. In my fantasy pick'em league, that's good enough for fourth, unfortunately. So I am proud of that, but hopefully I improve over time. And in my fantasy league, my actual, half PPR fantasy football league, I finally lost a game. Well, I've lost some games this season, but I lost a game last week to Bernardo Cubria. I'm pretty ticked off about it. I am now 6-3 on the season, and I've went down to number 4 in the rankings. So I'm hopeful that this week I will be able to get a victory against my good friend Brian Sutherland. I'm hoping I can knock him down a peg. Moving on real quickly, let's talk some Rockets here. Your Houston Rockets are, they kind of had a little bit of a tough week when they started off with an overtime loss to the Golden State Warriors. They lost 127-121. But they were able to bounce back with a victory against the New York Knicks. They won an easy victory there, 109-97, and just yesterday they smoked the Spurs, 127-100. So hopefully we can see improved improved offensive efforts, improved defensive efforts. Golden State was a tough matchup for them, but overall, your Houston Rockets had shot up the NBA power rankings 11 spots this week to be number 6 above the number 7 Nuggets. And this is just a little bit wild for me. A bit of an overreaction Maybe this team is fun to watch, and if they can figure some things out, they can compete with some good teams. But I'm kind of thinking it's a slight overreaction because this showcases, it is a slight overreaction. But I guess what I'm trying to say is this showcases this team's ceiling and why I'm excited about this team and what I think they're capable of. And it's nice to feel that I'm not the only one who thinks it. But this is still kind of early in the season. I want to see this roster kind of figure itself out a little bit, or Coach Udoka figuring it out a little bit, finding that that rotation out a bit. I want to see a little bit more stability before I get a little bit, before I get this excited, but I'm very excited about it. I'm happy that the excitement is there from more people. It's not just me who, definitely have, all my friends are excited about the Rockets too. I feel like people are getting more and more excited about them. This week we have a game at OKC, then a game at Detroit, and a back-to-back home game at Washington there, and then we play the Clippers twice. So there's going to be some games to watch, especially that OKC game that this Rockets have in this upcoming week. Moving on to Dynamo corner, the season ends here for your Houston Dynamo, unfortunately, with a penalty shootout against Seattle. The game ended in a 1-1 draw and then went to penalty shootouts. Houston played this game with 10 men when Ache was determined to have unsporting behavior. Overall, just a tough way to end this season, and it already had been announced, as of the recording of this podcast, it's already been announced that Ache, this was his last season with the club. They're obviously opening up that roster spot for Coco to take that. For Coco to take the starting spot and maybe maneuver around, maybe spend some money on some attackers here. So yeah, kind of tough way for the Dynamo to end this season. It's been a tough end to a lot of seasons here in Houston, but we're hopeful that the Rockets and the Texans can kind of find some success as their season continues, kind of shake off some of this this tough stuff, this tough luck that they've had, and they can find some success. And that's going to do it for this transmission, Space Cadets. Thank you so much. Obviously a little rusty here myself. Please smash buttons for me, like, rate, review, subscribe, share, bop it, kick it, all those buttons. Please help me out. Share this podcast with some other H-Town hustlers, some other people that need the good news. Spread to them. Please check out the Substack at spacecadetsports.substack.com, where you can be a subscriber completely for free, get every podcast, every article, and meme dump emailed to you directly for free. Please reach out on social media. Let me know your takes. Let me know how you think the Rockets are going to do against the Oklahoma City Thunder in this game. You can reach out on SpeakPipe and leave me a message, as long as it isn't too profane or too crazy. Maybe it can even make the podcast. That's speakpipe.com/Space Cadet Sports. Once again, that's speakpipe.com/Space Cadet Sports. Let me know your take, or you could let me know on social media at Space Cadet Sports on Instagram and Threads, or at Paul Salazar JR. If you want to reach out to me directly, let me know your take. That's Paul Salazar JR on all social media platforms. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast, folks. We are a small podcast, like I said before, and all the buttons you hit for me, all of the shares, all of those things really go a long way to supporting me, and I feel the love. So thank you so much for all of that. Remember to be the best that you can be. Now more than ever, remember to be the best that you can be. Keep your head up, kid, now more than ever. And as always, vamos Houston.